Hey, so in this video, I wanted to show a little trick that I use to kind of keep the snare drum in focus and kind of on top. Just kind of helps the snare stay in the mix and stay heard. I know everybody likes a good sounding snare drum, so priority should be to make it present in the mix. So I'm going to show you what I do personally to kind of achieve that sound. Just a few disclaimers here. If you're looking to get this exact sound, you are going to have to spend a little bit of money. The drum kit that I'm using here is Steven Slate 5, and the cymbals that I'm using are from Joey Sturgis's drum store. I believe it's just called Joey Sturgis Drums. He's got a bunch of really high quality cymbals on there, recorded from albums like We Came as Romans, Emir, a bunch of really high quality stuff with actual, real cymbals. So I like to use those and pair that with Slate. And I'm also going to be talking about side chaining, and the main goal of this video here is I'm going to be sending the snare to the cymbal bus with side chaining. And basically what the goal here is we're going to basically get the cymbals to duck a little bit every time the snare hits at the same time. That way we can kind of keep the snare up front and heard even when the cymbals are being hit really hard. So that's the goal here. I'm going to dive right in, and this is I've colored everything here just so you can see. So these are all my shells, basically all colored red and the cymbals colored gold. You get the idea. So I'm going to dive right in here. And so right now I have my everything, all my shells going to this shell bus. So I'll just go through it real quick. I got kick to shell bus, snare, mic, close mic, and snare room mic going to snare bus. So I can control the snare with one fader. I got my rack tom, or my toms, going to a tom bus. I have the tom room sounds going to a tom room sound, or a tom room bus, and that's going into the tom bus. So ultimately I can control the toms with one fader, and then that's going to the shell bus, that's going to the drum bus, cymbals are going to the drum bus. You get the idea. So how I'm going to get at this is I'm going to take my snare bus, and if you look and see this cable right here, that is my send or bus, or whatever you want to call it, auxiliary. There's a lot of terms for it. So I'm going to send another one to my cymbals bus, and it's going to be off. So it's still going to send that data to this fader here. So what I'm going to do is, before I get into this, I kind of want to just brighten up the kit a little bit, but I'll go ahead and show what it sounds like as it is. Oh, let me turn that metronome off. Cool. So yeah, that's just a little basic kind of drum pattern I just put down. So if we notice over here, when this crash ride comes in, it starts to get pretty loud, and especially on the harder notes. Yeah, you're gonna want that to kind of be a little more tame. So I'm just gonna brighten up the shells a little bit. This plugin is free. It's called Fresh Air. It's a really good plugin by Slate Digital. If you don't have it, go get it right now, because it works on so much stuff. You can use it on guitar DIs, bass DIs, vocals, drums, anything to brighten it up. And it's really simple to use. It's got a really simple interface. It's got this mid air, and then it's got this high air. Basically, this is going to be, your upper mids, and this is going to be your top end over here. So I'm just going to play it real quick and brighten up these shells. Just a little bit goes a long way. I think that already sounds like really good, and I don't have any processing going on my kit. There's no plugins on except for Fresh Air at the moment. But I'm going to take the snare bus, and it's already sent to the cymbal bus. So basically we're getting the audio data from the snare and we're sending it over to the cymbals. And what I'm going to do is open up a limiter, but I'm not going to be using the limiter portion or the compression in the normal fashion that you normally would with this plugin. But I'm going to go over here to sidechain, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit snare bus. So now we're getting the feed from the snare bus going into the cymbals. So if I play it, we don't have any settings going on yet, so it's not going to actually be doing anything. But to visualize, I'm going to bring this threshold down, and then you can see the snare spikes. So the white at the bottom is the volume of the cymbal bus, and the blue is basically the snare peaks. So I'm going to bring my threshold down to just a little bit, and this trick here is not, it's not intended to be overused or exaggerated unless you're going for some sort of really saturated or distorted pumping effect, up to you. But I like to use this for like a kind of a transparent effect, just to keep the drum mix really clean and crisp and detailed and in your face, but clear at the same time. So I brought down the threshold a little bit. Right now nothing's happening because I don't have any ratio going on. But once I bring this around here, and then I'm going to bring up the ratio just to like 2 to 1. So basically, once you look over here at this is the reduction that's happening in the cymbal bus when the snare hits. And this is what you want. I like to take this little curve knob here, and I like to just push it up to like maybe 2 or 3. And basically what that does is it flattens out the release. So it gives it kind of a flatter, I guess recoil would be kind of the right word. You can play with it, but yeah. So now our effect is happening, and you can see it in real time. You can see the reduction coming off the cymbal bus when the snare hits. And I'm going to turn this off so you can hear how it sounds without it. I'm going to go over to this crash ride part over here because it makes it pretty loud. So right now it's off. I'm going to turn it on. Play at the threshold. And if I move my cursor, I can pause this, and if you look up in the left, I'm getting a little reading. If you look over here, it's showing me that reduction is about 1.5 decibels. And that's what we're looking for. We're not trying to go too crazy with it. You just want this to be transparent. And I think so far, it sounds pretty good. Yeah, that sounds great. And play it from the top. Yep, that's exactly what we're going for. We want the cymbals to be tame, and we want that snare to cut through. And this is just a simple trick, and it already sounds so good. And like I said, I don't have any processing going on here other than Fresh Air and this little sidechain trick. So try it on your mix or your drums, whatever you want to do. I think it's a really helpful tool, and if you like this video and you want to see more stuff or like little tips and tricks, just leave a comment, and maybe I can do a video on it. Thanks for watching.